Here we've got a seated lat pull down. We're going to be seated on the core ball as well as using the power tube resistance band. In a very upright position to begin with, arms are out in front of you. On the exhalation, the arms come down beside you. You've got triceps with the back of the arms working and resist on the way forward. Good. You lengthen up through the spine and again repeat that. The objective is to keep the spine and the pelvis very stable as the arms move independently. A nice way to work the back extensors, shoulder stabilizers, as well as working on the core stabilizing muscles of the trunk and pelvis. We can add a little bit of an extension to that also. So as Dom brings the arms down this time, just going to lift the sternum up towards the ceiling and then come back to neutral. Repeat that again, so lift up tall, open up through the ribs, projecting forward, and then come back. We get very tight in the upper body. It's nice to open up that chest a little bit more while working on the back extensors. Good job. A half roll back is a great way to access the abdominal muscles. We've chosen to use the wall here just to stabilize the positioning a little bit and optimize the body position. George is going to start with his arms out in front. On the exhalation, we're just going to curl backwards using the abdominal muscles, lengthening out through the spine. Just take a breath in here to stabilize the position. Exhale, coming forward a little. Inhale, going back. On the exhalation, we're imagining that there's a ball resting on the belly and we're going to go up and over the top of it. So you're C-curving over the top of an imaginary ball sitting on your waist. Opening up, actively lengthening, and then closing it back down. To make that a little bit more challenging, the hands can go behind the head, elbows still stay in front of the trunk. Inhale, roll backwards, and on the exhalation, curl up. Good. Inhale. So we want the pelvis to stay nice and square. You'll notice that the knees are slightly bent. He's using the feet just to stabilize a little bit. The ball, if there's any discrepancy in the pelvic positioning, it's going to shift and rotate a little bit. It looks fairly small in its movement pattern, but it's quite a potent, deep abdominal and outer layer abdominal exercise. Well done. Do a half roll back with a bit of an oblique focus. One hand's going to go behind the head, other arm's going to reach forward. We'll twist a little towards the left side. We're going to roll backwards towards the right and breathing out, we're going to reach towards the diagonal and come back again. Here we've got, again, the positioning of the pelvis is very stable. You've got the feet to keep your alignment of your lower limbs, and we're curling up and back down. We can change sides. The other hand goes behind the head and we're going to rotate in the opposite direction. You might find that you're slightly different one side to the other using the side abdominal muscles. A nice way to really get stuck into the side obliques, condition them, make sure that they're nice and strong, and obviously toning them up at the same time. Just curling up through the upper spine, just watching that the lower back isn't twisting too much. You can do between 5 and 10 of those on either side. Be a good way to really work into the obliques. Just adding a small additional arm movement to the half roll back with an oblique changes the whole focus and strength of this exercise. So this time George is going to have his hands behind his head. We're going to slightly rotate to one side, and then from there we're going to roll backwards just halfway. We're going to come forward on the oblique angle on a diagonal. So breathing in to go back and exhale, curling up. The weight of the arms, nice and open and letting the head rest into the hands is a nice way to access again the strength of these side oblique muscles. The feet are anchored on the wall, pelvis is nice and square. Turning into the opposite direction, we're also opening up to the back of the body as we're opening and strengthening the front at the same time. So you're getting a nice closing sensation in the front, a nice opening sensation at the back of the body, and you just want to do it nice and slowly, good control, working on the inner and outer layer of the oblique muscles or abdominal muscles. Once you've done about, say, 4 or 5 on each side, we've worked those side abdominal muscles well. have a look at side lifts on the core ball. It's a side oblique exercise. I often get asked about how to set this up, so I just want to talk you through that. The best way that I've found is just to start in a kneeling position, have the ball up close to the hip. From here we're just going to place the weight of the body onto the ball and just transfer your feet onto a wall, nice and stationary position. You can maneuver that ball a little bit by just lifting the hip up, and the key is to have that pinnacle point of your hip bone resting nicely on the ball. It's a little bit posterior, a little bit back of the apex of the ball is the best place to be. Once you're in that position, hands can go behind the head, and you just want to support the weight of the head and just open up through the side abdominal muscle. And from here you want to take an exhalation, feel the abdominal preparation, and lift up into a side bend. And then curl back down, open up the side of the trunk, shorten, and actively lengthen out. Just keep the work accessed in the, or working in the side oblique muscles. And obviously you will feel a little bit of the back, but your most dominant area is the front side oblique muscle. Aim between about 5 or 6 of those. You don't need to do too many. If you feel nice and strong, maybe 10 might be a nice aim to get to, but always listen to your body and make sure you're hitting the right place. Let's have a look at back extensions on the core ball. We're going to start with slightly bent knees just to lengthen out the lower back. You do need your gluteals to be a little bit active here just to support the position of the spine and just aid the strength of the lower back. I'm going to start with the hands behind the head and just stay nice and open through the back of the spine. And let's use an exhalation, so tummy's on. We're just going to lift up into the upper back, weight bearing the hips onto the ball. Breathe in at the top, and as you exhale, all the way back down again. And again, breathing out, coming up. Breathe in at the top so you can maintain that position, and exhale, just blow the air out and allow your body to go down. Take a breath into the back, and exhale, curling up. Often the slower, more sustained movements are the more challenging ones, rather than bouncing and jerking the body too hard, and possibly straining in through the back. Again, probably about 6 to 8 of those is enough, and really feel that you're working the entire back, not just in your lower spine. If you ever feel any strain, just stop and maybe just reduce your reps and your range of movement a little bit. Back support with a reverse fly. I'm going to start in an upright position. George is going to roll out into a nice back supported position. The arms are directly over the shoulders, so the lats are on right from the start. Arms are opening up to the sides, so we get a little bit of posterior deltoid work happening. And we're opening up through the chest while we're working the back of the arms. The back of the hips and body is also working, so your gluteals and hamstrings. Watch the lower back's not doing too much. You've got the abdominal muscles stabilizing the position of the back, and you've got the head, neck and shoulders nicely placed on the ball. We want to avoid moving too much on the ball, and we just want to keep the alignments throughout from knees to the top of the head. You could do between 10 and 15 of these, depending on the resistance and the endurance that you can maintain a good sound tabletop position here. Here's a personal favourite. We've got a back extension exercise called Eagle, using the core ball and the resistance tubing. So we're going to start in this position. We're going to go down onto the ball, make sure that you've got a strong grip on that hand. We're going to swap the arms over so that you're holding the handles in each hand, and we're going to go forward. The knees are slightly bent, they're up against the door. On a exhalation, we're going to bring the arms forward, lift up out of the spine, make sure the abdominals are on. Take a breath in here and slowly back down again, resisting against the band. So we're going forward, good. Use the back muscles, use the abdominal muscles, let the band lift you up, and then we're going to come forward again and then allow the body to open up at the back. One more time, we're going forward. Avoid the band pulling you back into extension. Go forward again, and then allow the body to open at the back. Good. And then just come out of it the way you went into it. Just watch the bands don't pull your shoulders too harshly out of position. Let's have a look at side lifts using the resistance tube. I'm going to use the wall again to support the legs and the balance. We've used a top anchor point on the door. Finding your position on your hips is vital. We're having the top leg in front just to aid the stability. I'm just going to side bend over the ball. Take a nice strong grip on the tubes, handles. And from here, we're just going to be lifting up into a side bend. There's a few things going on here. The tubing is helping me to come up, but I'm still contracting through the side abdominals. And I'm resisting a little bit as I go down, so I'm actually working the underneath side. So from here, we're contracting a little and aided with the tubing coming up, and then resisting on the way down and opening up to the top side. So my right side's being stretched, my left side's working a little bit. It's a good way to lift up out of the spine, out of the trunk. Nice way to open up back muscles, stretch and release. At the same time, you're working your obliques. You're probably aiming between 6 and 8 of these. It's a good way to find the right side muscles in the trunk without overworking into the lower back. Let's have a look at an overhead tricep exercise. We're just going to walk out from a roll out into a back support position. Head is resting nicely on the ball. Again, finding that good layout state for the hips and for the lumbar spine. Elbows bent at about 90 degrees, right over the shoulders. From here, we're going to straighten out the arms. So nice elbow extension, back into a flexed position. So triceps are on, lats are on. The whole upper body is nice and stable and supported, along with the lower limbs also. So in keeping the shoulders away from the ears, the ball is aiding and helping if there's any discrepancies, again, through the shoulder girdle, or if you're weight bearing unevenly through your legs. You could probably do between 10 to 15 again of these triceps, depending on your tube strength and resistance. But it's a nice form, it's a nice controlled move. A great way to access the tricep muscles while looking after the entire body in terms of stability. Let's tackle a pelvic roll using the resistance bands. We just lowered the anchor point down onto about the door height level. We've got the arms into the power tubes. We've got the feet on the core ball. We're going to start with the arms coming over the top, activating underneath the armpits, the lats, so the arms will come down beside you. Once the hands are down, we'll curl up through the spine so the pelvis will lift. And then we'll start to curl down through the back, trying to keep it nice and steady, and then bring the arms back. We'll just repeat that again. So as the arms come down beside you, feel the lats on, curl up, feel the articulation of the back, curl down, opening up each section of the spine, and then resist on the way back. Now to add to that, as you curl up, you're going to bring the arms down. So now the arms aren't on the floor as you roll up. It's a little bit harder. And then as you curl back down again, the arms go back over the top. So one more like that. As the arms come down beside you, you lift up, watching that you're not using your lower back too much, working the back of the legs, working the lat muscles. A good stabilizing exercise for the back of the body. Taking things up a notch, we're going into a pelvic roll up with resistance and then adding a transfer to it. So we start with the arms coming over the top, articulate up through the back so the hips are up into a nice straight line position. From here we'll lift one leg up off the floor, right leg will lift and back down. Changing sides, making sure that the pelvis does not shift, the ball doesn't run away, and then curl back down through the spine again. And pelvic roll again, back up through the spine, curling up through each vertebral joint. One leg lifts and down, the other leg will lift and back down, holding the stability, opening up through the back, and then bring the arms back to your starting position. Let's tackle a knee pike straight, so straight on. We're going to start in a push-up position or a plank position. We've got the alignment from the shoulders right down to the hips. Just lower the hips down a little bit more there, George. So you bring the knees and the feet together, nice and close. Curl the spine. I'm going to draw the knees underneath. So you want to curl the lower back. You want to tuck the hips under so that we don't compress into the hip flexors. The ball's going to keep you nice and honest in terms of it traveling down your midline. Any deviation off that, you're going to feel it. You're going to have to work through the shoulders. Strong shoulder stabilization, good abdominal strength. When you come out of it after finishing, just place one foot down and come out of it nice and cleanly. Knee pike obliques. We're going to start in a push-up position with the shins close together, knees nice and tight so your adductors are active. We're going to lift up a little through the hips. I'm going to pull the knees to one side. You'll straighten back up again and then we'll tackle it to the other side. Good. That kind of alternating from one side to the other is very challenging for the rotation in the trunk and just finding and accessing alternate oblique muscles. Shoulder girdle nice and steady. The ball needs to maintain its control, making sure that the movement is very even. Once you've done about 3 or 4 on each side, foot goes back onto the floor. Good, and just coming out of that nicely. Okay, single legs or a running action, starting in a plank position. I'm going to go down onto the hands. Immediately, as soon as you get onto the ball, strong shoulder positioning. Yep. So you're going to keep one foot down, and pull one leg in, and as you do that, the other leg shoots up behind. We're just alternating, pulling one leg in as the other leg shoots out underneath. So we're reciprocal movement here. It's a little bit like a running action. Watch that the pelvis does not twist. You have to open up through the hips as you fire that leg in and out. Avoid working the quadricep too much and then change to the other side. Make sure that the movement is even and equal on both sides and control that ball coming in and out. You don't need to be doing too many, maybe between 3 to 5 on each side. Once you're finished, come out of it again and just reset the body. Decline push-ups. We're going to start in a push-up plank state. One foot followed by the other. Keep your legs as one unit, not two. Good straight line from shoulders right down to the feet. From here, we're bending in through the elbows, trying to keep your elbows nice and close to your torso, and then pushing back up again. The body is on a decline because the feet are up on the core ball. The core ball is going to be challenging in terms of stabilization through the upper body. Keep the abdominals on so that the lower back does not change or compromise its shape, watching that we're not compressing. So you want to lead with the head or the shoulder area and make sure, again, like I said, that the lower back does not sink. You could aim between 6 to 10 of these. You could even go up to 15, depending on how well you can maintain your precision and control. Coming out of it, nice and easy. Let's have a look at opening up through the thoracic spine and through the abdominal region. We're starting in a nice laid back position on the ball. From here, we're just going to open up through the thoracic, which is the upper spine. And then if you straighten out the legs, you're going to feel the openness of the belly and a little bit of back extension as well. So bending the knee, we travel from an upper spine to a straight leg into the lower spine. So the chest will open when the knees are bent, and when the legs are straight, we're going to get more of an abdominal release opening state. All the way throughout, keep the abdominals active, so the lower back is supported. It's a good way to open up the chest, the whole front of the body, particularly if you're doing a lot of abdominal work, a lot of crunches, etc. Good way to open up through the front of the body.